So, Bush, sounds like you guys are getting healthy in the backfield finally this year. I mean, how exciting is it to have George back, and how more dynamic can you guys be as an offense with both of those backs back there?
Yeah, I think it'll be critical to get him back. Again, we've talked about it with George for a long, long time, not just what he does on the field, but anytime you get a veteran like that who's played in big games, will be critical. But again, as you guys know, spent most of the offseason, most of springtime working on a lot of different things with those two running backs, and we're excited to hopefully get that opportunity.
What are your thoughts on having him at punt return? That's a high-impact position. He's a valuable part of the offense. Do you like having him back there at punt return? Would you rather him not be back there?
I think it ultimately comes down to whatever we got to do to win football games, and so again, sometimes in those situations, maybe you don't want him there until that ball gets dropped, and so I think whatever we got to do to win games.
Not to give away your game plan for Saturday, but I mean, how much you mentioned having, creating this system where you're going to have George and Ashton back there together. I mean, when that didn't happen after you got hurt against Washington, how much did that change what you had to do on the fly there in terms of this offense the last month, and what percentage, I guess, or how much chunk of the playbook can you go back to now if you have both those guys together?
Yeah, I think it's certainly, again, with you guys being at practice and watching it since we were here, I mean, it was certainly something that was in the plans. And so, again, to what extent of how much both those guys would be in together, we're still not even sure ourselves and what the status of George actually is. But as you guys know, anytime you're talking about one of your best playmakers getting back, working back in the mix, it's obviously exciting.
There, how do you balance kind of the thought of give it to the hot hand with, hey, give them a little break and let them rest up a little bit?
With Ashton, you're saying? Or yeah, I think there's always that mixture. I mean, I think what you don't want to do is have both of them out there too much, and then now you don't have a fresh guy in the game, right? So I think anytime we can have George get healthy and be out there, certainly that can help Ashton, but making sure that they're in a position where when they do get the ball, they are explosive.
In terms of the touches with Ashton, I mean, a lot. I mean, and it's kind of like what John was just saying, but how much do you weigh the touches versus the rest?
With Ashton, you're saying? I don't know. It's always a tough one, right? Because certainly his production has been extremely well, right? I look back at 2014, we're handing him the ball off, I think 4 times less than we handed off Jay Ajayi the ball in 2014, and so it's that hard give or take. A lot of times you say offensively, we're going to give the ball to our best playmaker, and until he's not available, we're going to continue to do so. So I think we're all on it. We got to get more guys involved, but we got to be smart too. The focus has got to be whatever it takes to win football games, and right now, certainly him in open space and his ability to make people miss has been a huge strength of ours.
Boise State's had so many great running backs over the years. When you look at the way Ashton runs the ball, is there one that he reminds you of?
Yeah, I don't know if it's any one in particular. I mean, I do remember the days of Doug Martin, if you will, when he got that ball, how many times multiple defenders took multiple defenders to bring him down. And I think that's one thing about Ash is his ability to make people miss, ability to make break tackles. And so, but certainly, I mean, you look at the production of guys like Brock Forsey, Ian Johnson across the board, he certainly will be in that lineage of one of the great backs.
The last 2 games, shaking out, I know it's game by game, but, Maddox ended up playing more snaps than Talon each of the last 2 games. I mean, Andy did say that, at least for the first play, Talon's a starter still. I mean, how do you look at that, and you think that could happen again, or are you guys trying to focus a little more on one or the other, or how do you look at how that's going to shake out?
No, I think Talon's our starter. I think everyone in the building knows that. I think the toughest part is just when you look at our second and long, third down efficiency percentage, in a lot of those situations, we're operating about 20% higher than we were earlier in the year, so it's a little bit of give or take. That's really what it comes down to is we think there's parts of Talon's game and his explosiveness in the run game to come in versus San Jose and have those multiple touchdowns. And then what Maddox has done in those longer situations where normally some of your percentages are closer to 15%, and we're executing on third downs and fourth downs. So I totally get it. Trust me, I do. I mean, I understand what everybody wants it to be. But at this point, we just the gut feeling is we certainly have had a large sample size. This is not something that's just been, hey, this is what we're doing over 2 weeks. We've had 12 or 13 games, if you will, with these quarterbacks, and that's right now what we feel is going to take to give us our best shot of winning.
Point production is there with the two quarterback system, but in terms of the rhythm and flow, to use your guys' word, it seems like there could be more if there's better rhythm and flow. What are you learning about rhythm and flow over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, Mike, I think it's hard there too, right? Because then you can make the case, hey, maybe when we just played one guy was the rhythm off the charts. You know what I'm saying? And so really, I think the number one thing is pinpointing how we're going to get that rhythm, right? If you look at what did we do versus San Jose State that made us look in rhythm versus Colorado State, even the point production was there, but maybe we didn't feel as much in rhythm. Was it totally about the quarterback situation? Was it just about the overall execution? Was it about turning the football over? And so that's what I think we all have got to do a great job of, is what exactly is it? You know, because again, you know, you look at the numbers Maddox has been able to do. You go back to that Colorado State game, or really you go back to the San Jose State game, look what he did on those third downs, those fourth downs. Those are critical plays that helped us win that game. And so pinpointing exactly what it is it the two quarterbacks, rhythm, not rhythm? That's what we got to figure out.
In terms of ideal split, or seems for 2 games, an ideal split that you would want to achieve. And I mean, Andy said not only is Taylor the starter, he referred to him as the focal point. But in the last 2 games combined, Maddox has played, I believe, 6 more snaps than Taylor. So we talk about rhythm and flow. How do you get the focal point, I guess, on the field more often than on the sidelines, I guess?
Yeah, I think, you know, is there a perfect distribution in our minds? I would say Talon would certainly be out there 60 to 65% of the time, you know, and the nature of it, as I know you guys understand, is we also have to make sure that it's not, we're not having issues of who's in the game, who's not in the game, taking delay of penalties, right? And so part of that for us is certain situations, Talon's been in the game, and when down and distances are different, when field positions are different, that's when we've kind of got to Maddox. So in a lot of ways, the distribution, you know, has a lot to do with what situations we're in the game. When we're in a 2-minute situation, for example, Maddox has been in there, you know, and then that looks at, okay, you have a long drive, that's 12 more plays. Is that really what we set out for? Maybe not, but based off of those situations, that has a lot to do with who's out there more.
Is this your call on most of these plays? Has Andy, does he come in on the headset and say, I want A or B next series?
No, he's been great, man. I mean, the communication's always there. Again, I just, we're all in this together trying to figure out, again, what is going to get us that rhythm, you know, and I think we're in that situation, right, coming off a bye where I think it's been 4 or 5 games, the last 4 or 5 games of scoring 30 points, but not totally feeling like the rhythm is exactly where it needs to be. So I think we're all doing everything we can to get in that rhythm.
Talon's on board with this and all this, but I mean, it's kind of like how he does on first and second down is going to decide if he gets to stay in on third down. So what's that dynamic like where he's wanting to try to make it happen and not be looking at the sideline, and then if third down, if Maddox does something, sometimes you guys are staying with Maddox, and just it's got to be a lot on I don't know if pressure is the right word, but a lot on his plate to try to want to stay in there.
Yeah, I certainly think it is, you know, and again, I can't tell you how proud I am of him and how he's handled himself, and again, totally understand that up, down, am I in, third down, and so on and so forth. But again, you know, I just, it goes back to what is that right distribution for us? What's going to give us the best chance to win? We did that in that San Jose State game with Maddox coming in there on some third down situations, 2 3rd and 15s, I believe, a fourth down play. And again, those were critical factors in us winning that game. So, you know, I think for TG, we just got to continue to build. It's not going to be a situation where he's coming out on every third down, but it is a situation where our efficiency has got to close the gap, if you will, to be the type of offense we want to be.
What have you seen out of Wyoming's front seven?
Yeah, unbelievably disciplined, high motor. This is a program that my hats go off to them, because I think we've prided ourselves for a long time on development and discipline. And I think from top to bottom, you look at their players, not just in the front seven, but on the back end. These are guys that play hard, that play discipline, that play together, and that's led to their success.
When it comes to just getting back to the quarterbacks and their development, on a given week, I mean, I know these weeks are short, you got to get ready to play a game, but how much time can you spend in season on player development and working on a guy's, you know, perceived weaknesses, I guess? Yeah,
I think certainly you can spend time on it, and certainly there's the development part. I also think, though, the season is not the training ground, if you will. It's once you've gotten through 3, 4, 5 games, it's okay, we're in a situation now where we got to find out what are we going to do? What are we going to do to give ourselves the best chance? So I think it's a little bit twofold, right? Certainly always developing, especially with these college guys, every practice is a new learning opportunity, but there's also the part of, hey, we got to move in this direction and get going.
Who is the quarterback that set the best example, and whether it be film study, after practice, outside of what they're required to be, or who's the best at utilizing that time, and how would maybe the guys that you have right now compared to something like that?
You're saying just at Boise State overall, or?
You can go beyond that if you want, Bush. It's
Yeah,
up to you.
yeah. I mean, I've been fortunate to be around a lot of great guys. I think I remember my early days here with Ryan Dinwiddie and how he prepared. And you also got to take into account when a guy like that sets the precedent or the culture of it, it just gets, if you will, brought down to the younger guys. But from RD to Jared Zabransky, again, Kellen Moore was such an interesting guy, right? Because when he showed up as an 18-year-old freshman, I think, he probably didn't hurt my feelings. He acted like the things I was telling him was like the first time he had ever heard it, but he had been there, done that already, and I think it was just out of the respect of a veteran guy. But I've been fortunate, to be around a lot of great guys. My time in Atlanta with both Matt Ryan and Matt Schaub was a huge year for me to see what it looks like at the professional level, and I certainly think these guys are taking that step as well.
Riley had kind of, battled injury early this year, but to get him involved in the pass game the last couple weeks or couple games, how nice has that been?
Yeah, it's been great. And I think, Riley and Matt Lauder have done some things that are impressive. And again, we all talk about balance, we talk about rhythm, we talk about possibly you guys want to take touches away from Ashton. So those are all guys that, can help balance that out and not make us as one-dimensional.
Andy was saying, seems like you guys, for the first time since fall camp, are going to have everybody available on Saturday. And what does that do? I guess the group's been pretty impressive already, but if a guy like some of these guys that have started every game may not be starting now, what does that do to the group now to have everybody back and available?
Yeah, I think you said it. This offensive line, a lot of times when this happens, you're waiting on the starter to get back. I think Tim Keene's done such a tremendous job, and those players. We almost feel like there's about 7 starters up front. And so that's obviously tough, right, with guys getting back, and you look at certain positions and guys who are deserving. But again, this program's been built on the depth up front, and they've done a tremendous job here, and those guys are a testament to it this season.
Lauder has a couple of big catches. He's been there a couple of times on run plays as a blocker. Where have you seen him grow the most this season?
I just think overall consistency. I think when you look at that tight end position, there's so many different categories or buckets, if you will, that you got to be great at. Certainly run blocking, pass protection, being a part of the pass game. And I think when you got a guy that's as balanced as him, who can stretch it vertically but also be one of the more physical players up front, that's when he can get dynamic.
His life says he's a fun-loving guy, and even a locker room prankster. What impact does that have on the locker room?
Who's that, Matt?
Matt Lauder, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's huge, right? Whenever you can see a guy who can be himself but also be able to flip that switch for 3-4 practices a week, and then on game day, it just gives validity of what it's got to look like. And we always preach to these guys, we want them to be themselves, but also understand the level of focus that needs to happen both in practice and on game day, and he's a great example of that.
No targets for Prince the last 2 games. Is that an X's and O's game situation, or is he still kind of working on the development side of it?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, Mike. Certainly, again, you can design certain things, and is he out there? Is the target actually going to him? But again, there's maybe sometimes it's a good problem to have. You got Billy Bowens out there, you got Static, you got both the tight ends, you got Ashton Genty, and so we're really just working through that.
All right, thank you.
Good?
That's good.
Maybe?
Austin Bolt, Andy said he was back. Can he figure in this year immediately?
Yeah, we would hope so. Again, and I think the biggest thing is just getting those guys consistently practicing and consistently getting them ready to go. That's the biggest thing, and knowing who's available, but we're certainly excited about it. He's looked good.
Thanks, Bush.
Thanks, Eric.